Oh, another thing. So I will release the um, the scores for the last two quizzes before Thursday's lab, and also I will give some explanation for some commonly, for the most errors or problems you have in your practice in your quizzes on Thursday as well. All right. So let's look at the lecture 6. Are you able to see my screen right now?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. Basically, we have been working with strings a lot, right? Throughout the whole lectures and labs, we take strings everywhere for the input, or sometimes we add two strings together, or we convert a string from a text to numbers, and so on and so forth. But we haven't have a systematic understanding about how would string be utilized, and what are the other functions in under the umbrella of string. So let's look at it. So basically, string is just a sequence of characters, and basically in Python, basically you are using quotation marks, quotes, right, to represent a string. For example, you could use this single quotes or this double one. Either one is good for a string. There are some operators like this plus sign. That means that's the concatenate of two strings. Basically, in one word, in another word, basically you are appending one string to the end of another one, right? That's what does the plus sign mean. And even there's number inside a string, it's still a string. You cannot directly use it for other computation like the multiplication, subtraction, addition, division, and so on and so forth. I mean, those operations for numbers. So you have to convert this string to number, and then you use the operation to the numbers. So that's why there could be an error information shown. I think I still remember there are some students who asked about the errors for some user input numbers. Why there's that problem? Or, for example, you want to loop through basically you want to utilize the input number to indicate how many times you want to iterate. And it turns out when you put it into the for loop, it gives you an error. That is because, no, it's still a string instead of a number. So you have to do the conversion first, and then you could utilize it. So that's why this kind of type conversion functions is very important, like this int, right? So basically, it converts a string which is put inside this parenthesis to integer number, right? And here shows some example code, right? And this line will cause a error because you directly use this string, and you are actually trying to add one to the string, which is prohibited by the Python compiler. So you have to do the type conversion first, and then do this submission or addition. All right. So that's a very important point for the data type of string. So also there's an essential step is to read the data into the Python program using string and to contain that data. And then other functions like parsing and conversion could be utilized to process that data. I mean, in the later slides, you will see a lot of functions could be utilized for more complex operations. But that's quite useful, and it brings the flexibility to you. For example, if we look at this line of code, basically it's asking user to input something. For example, you input a name, Chuck, and of course you can directly print it out. That's the text, nothing special, right? And then, for example, if you want to input, if you ask the user to input another string, for example, you put 100 here. But as you can see here, this apple is a string, which is a number 100, but without the data type conversion, this apple is directly to be here, and apple minus 10, and no doubt there will be an error information here. Basically, you need to do the type conversion and then do the subtraction. And turns out you could successfully do this subtraction. But the idea is you could read in some strings, some data from the input. Also later, I mean, I will definitely give you some idea that how you read from the files. Actually, we have tried out some simple cases, right? In the last lab session, we have two files, and you could read the data in and do some operation. But more detailed, more comprehensive introduction will be given in the later lectures. But for now, let's just focus on the strings, right? Just assume if you could read in some data, what you're gonna do to that data contained in a string, all right? So if you have a string, you can consider that string as a list or an array. Means you can consider every single character will be stored one by one in the sequence of the character in the text. Also, there will be an index associated with each of the character. For example, if you have a string which is banana, basically the index 0 is attached to the first character of this string, which is B, and 1 is associated with A, and 2 is associated with N, and so on and so forth. And in total, this string banana has 6 characters. So its index starts from 0 through 5. And the important thing is the index value first must be an integer, and second start at 0. So if basically for this banana, you have 6 characters, and if you use length to return the length of this string, it will return 6. But the ID, the index, starts with 0 and ends with 5. That's a very important thing. You have to keep it in mind, because when you when you are trying to loop through a string or extract some of the substring from the whole whole input string, you might need to take care of the IDs, index. And in that case, you have to be very clear that you don't want to have some index which is beyond it's supposed to be. For example, if you have use an index 6 in some of the operation, it might give you an error, and I will show you what it looks like. But in this case, basically, we have a variable fruit, and we assign this banana string to the variable fruit, right? The way you access each of the character is because you have the variable, right? Basically, variable plus this squared bracket, and in between of the two bracket, put the ID of that character. For example, you want to have this A, which is the second character of this string, then put ID 1 here, and assign this optant character to the letter variable and print it out. It is A. So that's the format to access each of the elements stored in this array. In this case, it's a string, right? So any questions regarding this kind of assessment, accessing of the element in a string?
What would happen if it started with a 1 instead of the 0?
What do you mean, what happened?
Like, would it just be an invalid syntax, or would some other like action happen if it started with a 1 and not a 0?
Actually, you have no control over it. That is controlled by Python. That means it is like this. The only thing you could have trouble is you accidentally put a 6 here, right? The maximum index in this way is 5, so it cannot be 6. But you just for whatever reason you put 6 here, then there will be an error information.
Gotcha, my bad.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but thank you for your question. Basically, it clarifies what it is, how did this kind of an index work. All right, so that's an index. Also, you could do some expression. For example, put an x, which is a variable, and assign 3 to this variable x. In the second line here, what you want to do is, okay, I want the character which is which is in front of this x index. In that sense, basically you just want to have x minus 1 and retrieve the character of this string and assign the value to w, and then you could print w out, and in this case it's n. So x is 3 means, okay, it's here, a, right? And x minus 1, that means, okay, goes to here, and that is n, and then you can print it out. But again, be careful of this kind of operation, because what if x is 0, and then this expression will turns out to give you -1, and that is incorrect because there's no 0. I mean, there's no -1 as the index. So again, that will bring you an error information, right? So be careful of this kind of operation. There's a lower boundary and upper boundary, and you cannot go beyond either of these. All right. That's the look inside string. So here describes, okay, if you have some error with the index, what could be the cases? As I mentioned, basically, if you go beyond the index, for example, like this ABC string, so the index would start with 0, and then 1, 2. So anything beyond 2 will bring you trouble. For example, okay, in this way, this line try to print a string and a character in this string, but its index is 5, which is impossible. You cannot go beyond 2. So no, I mean, obviously there will be an error information shown here. So that's a case. So some functions would help you to understand what is the range of the string. So a very useful one is to use this len function. So this function will return the length of a string. So for example, again, we have the banana string. And if we apply len to this string, it turns out we'll return 6. So because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters over here. So in that sense, you will know, okay, there are overall 6 characters over here, and you cannot have any index beyond 5, right? Because again, the index starts with 0, so it's the length minus 1 will be the maximum index in this string. So that is very important and helpful. So actually, this function, if we take a closer look at this function, so what it does is it will loop through any string put here and give you how many characters are there. And we don't need to care about the actual implementation of the code, but the basic idea is, okay, you have the string as the input, and with the input string, you want to loop through this string and do the calculation, see how many characters are there. So that's the basic concept of length. So with this length, with this len function, what we could do is we could do some loop through array and utilize the information of the len function. So what we're gonna do is, how about we have a while loop? So basically, the constraint is this index cannot go beyond the length minus 1. Sorry, the length of a string minus 1. So what if we set up the index? We initialize the starting index to be 0, which is totally fine, perfect fine. And we set up the condition. So only this index is smaller than the length of the of this string, we will do the following steps. And this condition is so true, right? So for example, if we take this string banana, there are 6 characters. And initially, this index, the iteration variable is 0. And when index is smaller than len fruit, in this case is 6, right? Whether this is satisfied for the first, for index is 0, yes. And then go to these lines. So basically, this line is asking to access the character with current index value. In this case, it is 0, and then once that character is retrieved, it is assigned to letter, and this is printed out. And after that, index get increased by 1, right? That now it becomes 1. And then we go back to check this condition again. Now the index is 0, whether 0 is smaller than 6, yes. And then go inside, get character printed out and increase the index. So it will repeat this once again. And let's look at the last time this code will be executed. So that happens when index is 5, right? So when index is 5, whether 5 is smaller than 6, yes. And then we go here and get character printed out, and the index get increased by 1. Now index becomes 6. And then we go back here. Now index is 6. Whether 6 is smaller than 6? No. Okay, we finish up this while loop, and the code over here will not be executed. And that is what exactly executed and what the output look like. So basically it will loop 6 times and it loops through the array. So that is the perfect way to loop through the array by using this len function. In this way, you don't need to worry about you will accidentally access use the index beyond it's supposed to be. So yeah, any questions about this? Good. Okay. Also, we could use the for loop. A definite loop means we know how many times we're gonna execute in the loop, inside the loop. So the way for us to use the for loop is something like this. So we have a string banana, and we can define a new variable fruit and assign banana to this new variable. And we use this letter as the iteration variables. And basically what we want to do is loop through this string. So we can simply just write like this: for letter in fruit, print letter. And that's it. So Python will automatically, starting from the first index, and retrieve that index, retrieve that the character with that index and assign to letter and print it out. Very convenient. And turns out we will have all this look like. So you can try out by typing in this in your Jupyter notebook and see what it looks like. I can give you like 1 minute to have a little practice. All right. Okay, let's move on. So basically, what you just tried out, the for loop for looping through the string, is equivalent to this while loop, but you can see it's more convenient to use a for loop instead of a while loop, right? So this in the for loop, the iteration variable is completely taken care of by the loops, by the for loop. So you don't need to worry about this addition, I mean increasing of the iteration variables per iteration, right? And you just simply start a for loop and write the code you want to do with this character, and that's it. So that's more convenient to use a for loop versus a while loop in this case. All right. So there will be another. So in this for loop, one thing is missing compared to this while loop is, although you can retrieve each of the character of the string in each of the iteration, but you don't have the index associated with each character. That means you probably need another variable, just like the index shown here, to contain the index in each of the iteration. So that's why you want to have a count variable or whatever variable you wanted. But that is for remembering how many times this letter appear. For example, again, you have the banana as a string, and this variable count is initialized to be 0, and you want to compute how many times A appears in this string. So what you're gonna do is first write a loop, right? Basically, you want to scan from the very beginning of the string to the end of the string. And then within this loop, because your target is only the A character, in that case, you want to set up a condition, right? If the letter is A, then this count will get increased by 1. That means you found one A character in the string. And once you loop through the whole string, and this operation, this condition will be satisfied as long as there is an A character appears in the string. So it turns out you will have the overall number of, I mean, the count of the of A appear in this string. All right, so that's a very simple application, but it could be quite useful for some of the applications. Basically, if you have a very long line of string, and you just want to do some statistics, see which one is the most used characters, or you just want to count how many times you use a letter B, letter A, whatever. You can easily just use this simply a simple code to do that work, right? So any question about this? Okay. So that's a very simple case example in the looping and count the letters. So if we take a deeper look at this looping through a string, so the iteration variable iterates from the sequence, and that is the it's an ordered list or array follows how this string look like. And also for each of iteration, the code you set up there will be executed once for each of the values in the sequence, or for each of the in the case of string, it is each of the character you will take it out and do some operation or do some calculation. And the iteration variable will automatically move through all the positions, all the values in the sequence. And that is taken care of by Python automatically, right? So for example, in this banana, so once you write this for loop, every time inside the loop, the iteration variable will start from the first character over here and move to the next one for each of the iteration. And you could, for each of this character options, you could do something and or make some calculation or remember the how many times it appears, or so on and so forth. And that's how it works. And basically, Python will check if the current position inside the sequence has reached the end of this string or not. If no, it will keep on repeating this process. If the answer is yes, that means, okay, it has reached the end of a string, then the operation will be stopped. The loop will stop there. So far we have learned some basics of strings, the index, the length of a string, and how we loop through a string using while loop, for loop, together with the len function of the string. Let's look at more operations for string. A very important one is the slicing of strings. For example, you have a sentence, or like this, it looks like a name, right? First name, last name, but you only care about some of a portion of this whole string. For example, you want to extract the first name or the last name. Then what are you gonna do? So we take this string as a sequence or an array, and we can see actually for each of the character of this string, also even the space is count as a character in this case. And it has the index. Each index is associated with one character. And what you could do is, basically you could utilize this operation to have the substring of the whole string. So there are two numbers showing here, right? The first number is the starting index in the string. And the second number is the end index of the string, of the substring. And once you write like this, actually that means you want to retrieve any of the portion in between of the two. For example, we have a 0, 4. That means we want a substring starting from 0 and at, in this case, actually not 4, it's 3. So this one here is very tricky. You have to be careful. So for the first number, basically it will include the character with this index. But for the second number, the index is not included. You want to have the one before this one. The number here is 4. That means you want to have a string end at 4 minus 1. One before this 4.
So is that just standard? It's not
Yep.
inclusive of the last one?
Yep, that's
Okay.
a standard for Python. Yeah.
Python grammar.
Yeah,
We're
Python
learning.
grammar, exactly. I mean, when you learn, actually, you just remind me when I first learned English, because I don't know whether for you guys it's true or not, but for us, we are second. I mean, English is second language, right? It's not mother tongue, but we are quite happy sometimes because there are grammars and there are rules. It happened to me. It's like, okay, you finally have something to follow, right? But basically we are quite happy about it, and try to apply the rules to every cases. But soon we figure out, well, there are some exceptions.
There's a lot of exceptions.
Lot of exceptions.
Like I've taken a couple different languages, and it's like Spanish makes so much more sense than English does. English just doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. Like there's so many stupid rules and like different pronunciations. It's really dumb. It doesn't make sense.
Right. I mean, but yeah, for us it's kind of really annoying because the rules doesn't apply for some cases, and we have to memorize it. And our teacher always tell us, okay, that's English grammar. You have to memorize it. So similarly, you have some cases, you just want to memorize it. All right. I don't know what happened. What's the reason beneath this kind of rules for the index when you are slicing the strings in Python? But basically, second number, you want to take the one before it, right? So in that case, 0 to 3. So that is this sub number. Or I think if you memorize it like, okay, this is actually, let me see.
Less than and not less than or equal to.
Still doesn't make much sense, but maybe memorize it is even better way. Because I'm thinking of whether it represents the number of the character you are going to take, but actually no. if you can still have 4 and it starts with 1, that means you want to take 1, 2, 3. This 3 character, but 4 has nothing to do with how many character you want to take. So I don't know. Maybe memorize it. That's the best way. If you practice more, you will have no trouble with it, just like us learning English. But anyway, so in this one, let's look at this case. So it starts with 6, and the second number is 7. Basically, we cannot take the character with index 7. Instead, we will end at 6. So in this case, 6 to 6 means we will take exactly 1 character at 6. So that is the character P over here. And one good thing is, well, you could put a number which is beyond the length of this character, this string. So in this case, if you put 20, because the overall length of this string is just 11, but 20 definitely is beyond the length of a string, but still it will stop at the end of a string and starts with the first number. I mean, the index of same as the first number. So in this case, it's 6. So it takes P, Y, T, H, O, N, and because that's the end of this string, so it ends it there. And even you put 20, it will not give you an error, which is good. So that's how you slice a portion of the string. Also, we could have some other operations with this kind of mechanism. For example, in this time, we do not put the first number here, but put 2 here. What does this mean is, okay, you want to start with the beginning of the string. Because if we do not put anything here, that means by default, we want to start with the beginning of the string, which is 0. And we want to end at 2 minus 1, which is 1. So in this sense, we have MO shown here. All right. So that's for if we do not put the first number here. So how about we leave this second number blank? Again, that indicates you want to go all the way through and to the end of this array. So in this case, starts with 8. That's here, and we need to take it T, right? T, H, O, N, and that's the end. Because we do not put anything, that means by default, it will stop at the end of this string. So we will take THON, this 4 character, and print it out. So how about we just don't put anything for first and second number? That means, okay, by default, we want to have the substring starting with the first index to the end of the string. That is the full string. It doesn't make sense actually. It will work, but it does nothing. It's still the original string, but Python allows this and support this kind of operation. All right. Actually, I think this kind of operation could be quite useful. For example, you may not care about where you want to start. Basically, you want to start with the first one, and for this one, still, basically that it will do the same thing as you put 0 here, right? And you know the starting index must be 0, right? So this one may not be that useful, but for this one, that means you do not care about what's the length of this string. You only care about where you want to start the slicing, where you want to start to trim it, and then you could do something like this, just to indicate where you want to start, and leave this blank, and then Python will do the slicing for you automatically. All right. Also, again, this plus operation, basically it combines 2 strings together. For example, you have one string A, which is assigned to be hello, and then you use this plus operation and appending another string behind this A, and turns out you will have this new string showing here. But as you can see here, it's not a sentence because basically there's a space missing. So what you could do is you could even add this space in between of the 2 string, and it turns out you have a hello space there, which is a nice sentence. So, but after all, this example tells you could do the combination of different strings by just utilizing the plus operator. Another very important operator is the in operator. Oh, this one is very useful. So basically, in is a logical operator. So that gives you some very useful function. That is, if you want to check some specific character you care about, are they in the string you are dealing with? If yes, it will return you a true which is a Boolean number, or false in case the character you are looking at is not within the string. So for example, for this banana string, if you type n in fruit, it turns out will show n, show true here. And you can type m in fruit. And because banana has no m, so it gives you false. Not only just one character, you could even use some sub-character, substring. For example, if you write a line like this, and this NaN, you want to check whether there's such a combination in this string, and this function, Python will does the check for you automatically, and turns out there is an NaN, right? And that will be true. So actually, this is a very useful operation, because some of the data mining applications want to check if inside a file or some, like, for example, the internet browsing history, and you want to check whether there are some keywords included in the browsing history. That could be the application of this operator, right? You can just easily set up your requirement and use the in to see, okay, if there is some existed record there. Also, together with the if statement, you could set some conditions, right? Basically, this in operator will give you a true and a false, and that is the conditions. So in this case, plus you can use if a in fruit, and if that is true, if this condition is satisfied, there will be some operation be performed. So in this case, print founded. And that's the case because you have multiple A in this strings, definitely the result would be founded. And we will do some more practice in the lab sessions to utilize this logic operator, the in operator. But I would like you just use a few minutes, try this kind of a very simple example. Please type in this in your Jupyter notebook and try to play with it by input different numbers and see how it looks like. Basically, this is not just the in, but also it is the comparisons. So there is a comparison operator that is, it will give you whether the input word is banana or not. If yes, this line will be printed. Also, there's a greater, smaller than and greater than. What does it mean? You can have a trial and tell me, all right? So in the next 3 minutes, please work on it. Type it in your Jupyter notebook and let me know what you have. Okay, so let's go through this together. So first of all, basically, this is for a user input, right? It will appear a pop-up window and asking user to input something. And then this line check, okay, whether the input string is equivalent, is the same as banana or not. If that is the case, this line will be printed. And that's simple to understand, right? So how about this? If word is smaller than banana, what does it mean? Anyone can give me some idea? Have you tried?
It's sorting them in alphabetical.
Exactly.
Like order.
Yeah. So this compares this word, this string, with the banana, and the criteria is the initials, the starting character, whether is before or after B. So in this case, only the string contained in word is starting with A, this will be satisfied, right? And similarly, this greater than also checks the first character of the two string, and only if the first character of word is after B in the alpha beta, this will be satisfied, and this will be print. So for example, if you put apple, if the word is apple, so this condition is satisfied and this line will be executed. So similarly, if word is let's see let's see let me think, what can we pear, because this is also fruit, right? We put pear here. P is after B in the alpha beta. So this is satisfied and this line will be printed. Else means, well, it has the same first character in word as banana. That means it also starts with B. For example, if you put what other fruit starts with B? Sorry, I don't know, but let's see if you put bat. Okay, I don't know, it's not a fruit. You put bat here, and it has the same first character as banana has. So in that case, this line will be executed. All right, so that's how it looks like. Or you input banana. For example, if you put the word banana, this is also be executed. This will be also satisfied, and this line will be printed as well. Of course, this one will be printed as well. So that's how it looked like. So again, this kind of comparison is not the same way it works for a number. Basically, you need to check the characters. For example, this one equivalent, greater, smaller, and greater than. All right. So this is how this kind of string comparison work. So actually, there are a lot of functions. We call it a library. Basically, there are a lot of pre-built-in functions for strings, and you can utilize them to also the combination of them to achieve very complex functionalities. These functions do not modify the original string, but instead they return a new string, and also that new string will be alternated, right? If you look at the code over here, so we have a string greet, right? And hello Bob is the string. And there's one function called lower. And if you use lower, I mean, you apply lower to the original string, it will return a new string. It won't change. It won't alter the original greet string. Instead, it will return a new string called dap. And this dap is the result of the lower. So in this case, the lower function will convert the original string to a new string with all lowercase character. In this case, you will have all the character to be the lowercase. And that's how it worked, right? And I think I don't remember who, but there are some students asking how to convert the string to all lowercase or uppercase. So basically, there is some function to do this work. And actually, there are more than this. Basically, what you could do is use this dir function. Basically, you need to first define a string and use the dir function. It will return all the supported functions in the library, and we can have there are quite a bit, right? We have I think the lower the lower here. I think that should be a capital or upper. Let me see. Capital. Do we have capitalize? I guess that's one we're looking at. And you could have a trial yourself, and we can practice more in the lab session. But remember, if you want to have some functions together with apply to the string, try to look at this library first. Probably there will be some implementation already there for a string. And there are some multiple examples. If you check the document of the string in Python, you will see such kind of a little instructions about what kind of parameter it takes, and also what is the return value and how it works, something like that. Some commonly used ones: capitalize, center, and with, find, is strip, replace lower, R strip, and upper, and so on and so forth. Oh, there is an upper. So what's the difference between the capitalize and the upper? So I don't know. We can have a trial, but for the lab session, we will have we will have many examples and tests to try out these functions. And don't worry about that. So among all these functions, there are some very useful ones. For example, this find function. So what it does is it will take the parameter you give, which could be a substring within the original within the string, and basically it will return what is the index of that substring you are looking at. For example, for this banana string, and you want to find what is the position for this NA. So it turns out it will find, okay, where is NA? So its location is here and here. So which one to return? Basically find will find and the first occurrence of the substring. So this one will be ignored. So only this one will be remembered. And this substring starts with the index 2. That means, okay, that's where it is located. It starts with 2. So it turns out it will return that index, which is 2 here. All right. So that's how you utilize. Of course, you can put just one character. For example, if you put A here, so what it does is, let me maybe erase. Oh, let me erase this. All right. So if, for example, if we put A here instead of an A, so then it will check, okay, where is the first A in this string? So in this case, that is here. And once it finds the first A, it will stop here and return its index, that is 1. So this output will become 1 here. All right, so remember it. What it returns is the start point, the index of the starting point of that substring. And second, it will only find the first substring appears. All right, so that's the 2 very important points for the find function. So what if you put something which is not there? For example, like this. So if you put Z here, but there's no Z in this string, so it will directly return a -1, which is impossible as an index, because as we all know, index starts with 0 and end with some positive integer. It cannot be -1. It cannot be smaller than 1, and that's also an indicator. If you check this value, if it is -1, that means, well, there's nothing. There's no substring you want to find contained in this string. So that's how the find function work. Oh, also we have the upper function, right? So that is, you could make every character in a string to be the uppercase. And for example, if we have this string and you apply upper to that string, and when after printing it out, you have everything to be the uppercases. And in contrast, the lower will convert everything to be lower cases. So you want to remember the 2 together, because basically it does literally what it shows, right? Convert everything to be upper, convert everything to be lower. All right. So search and place, right? Basically, that's what the replace function does. It will search the string you put there and replace it, with something else. So if we look at the parameter put here, so the first parameter shows what you want to look at, what you want to look up. In this case, that is Bob, right? And then we have the second parameter. That means, okay, if you find where this first this string located, then you want to replace this string by the second parameter. So if we take this example, we have the greet string to be hello Bob, right? And then we use the replace. So basically, you want to replace Bob with Jane if you find it. So it turns out it will the new string as a result of the replace will become hello Jane. So what if you put not Bob, like let me see, Mary, all right? Right? You want to replace Mary with Jane for this character. What's gonna happen?
It would just turn Mary into Jane, but do nothing for the script.
Probably, and you can have a trial.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically this will only happen, that is you find this string for the targeting string, right? So there's no Mary in this line, probably it won't work. I mean, and that's how a replace function look like, right? Also, you could replace some specific character within this string. For example, you want to replace O with a capital X, and it will replace all the O, all the lowercase o with the capital X throughout the whole string. And again, for this hello Bob string, we have this O, this lowercase o, and this O, right? And it will replace all of them with a capital X. Also, it's very, very useful functions, right? I think when you have a very long, if you ever use Word, right? Microsoft Word, there is a very long document, and you use some name, you use a word all throughout the whole document, and but you want to change it, you want to replace it with something else, then you could simply just use a replace function, right? Word provided. So similarly, for the document you want to process in Python, you could use this replace function, and that is very useful and very simple to use. Then there's a prefix function, right? So for example, this function will check whether the string start with what you put here. So for example, if you have a string which is please have a nice day, and you want to check, okay, whether this string starts with please, it will, and of course that is true. So this function will return true, right? And also, if you put line, maybe I just you reuse this. So if instead of put a whole word, if you put a capital P here, so this will still give you true. Whether it starts with P, a capital P and capital P here, yes, right? So this will still be true. Or if you put a capital P, lower L to here, still true, right? So that's how flexible this function is. As long as it is it's not necessary to be the whole word, but also if just a partial of the word, partial of the string, it will give you the true. But that's case sensitive. So if you put a lowercase p as a parameter for the starts with, and it turns out it returns false because this whole string starts with a capital P instead of a lowercase p. So that's how this starts with function work. Okay, I think I might stop here. And on the Thursday's lecture, let's practice. Of course, let's finish up the strings, and then we could have some practice. There are a lot of examples with the string. All right, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor. See you on Thursday.
Yep, see you.